This is the Millcreek Government Channel, and I'm Judy Zelina. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about an organization. It's new to me. I had never heard about it, and when this wonderful lady came up and introduced herself we were at a senior fair. Her name is Julie Hartman, and Julie is with the Twilight Wish Foundation. And again, it's new to me. Great idea. Great organization, but Julie joins us. She's with the Twilight Wish Foundation, but she is also an assistant professor at Gannon University, and she is the director of clinical education. And see, we thought that I was going to screw that up, but I did not goof it up. Yeah. So anyhow, Julie, thank you so much for joining us. It was so nice to meet you at the senior fair, and I'm really, really excited to let our viewers know about the Twilight Wish Foundation. How long has it been around, first off?
Twilight itself started in 2003 in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. The executive director at the time, Cass Forkin, had been out to lunch and noticed a few older women kind of struggling to pay their bill. And so she went over and took care of their lunch bill for them. And from that moment, the idea for Twilight was born. We joined them in 2009. So we are strictly an Erie County branch of Twilight, and I'm from here. I grew up in Erie, and I feel very strongly about giving back to those individuals that have given so much to me over the years.
Okay, so what is the Twilight Wish Foundation?
Twilight Wish Foundation is a nonprofit that grants wishes for the older adult in Erie County.
Mm-hmm. And this is an Erie chapter.
Correct.
How many chapters are there?
There are 16 chapters right now throughout the United States. Okay. Very heavily populated in Pennsylvania, which is nice because we each take care of a county.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now this sounds like wonderful. You just fill the needs for seniors. How does this happen?
There's a couple different options. Oftentimes it's word of mouth. So once one wish is done, then that information gets passed on. We've attended senior fairs to get the word out. But the biggest issue really is the criteria. An individual has to be 68 years or older. Okay. They have to be 200% above poverty level. So there is a little bit of a finance thing to be considered. And they really should at some point have given back to their own community. But that can range from somebody who is in charge of the Red Cross to somebody who knits Afghans for a local nursing home.
Okay. Okay. Now, are there different programs that you have within the Twilight Wish Foundation?
There are. There are a couple different ways to become involved. The one way is through just granting the simple wishes, or the end-of-life wishes, which we haven't done too many of those. We really focus on the general simple wishes. National has an intergenerational program where they really work with high school kids and grade school kids and get them involved with the elderly. We don't have a particular program right now. We'd love to start something like that.
Okay. How do you find the recipients? I'm going to tell you, I think you go to any person on the street and say, do you have a wish? We were talking. I have a wish list this long.
I have my wish list, absolutely.
But how do you find the recipients? How does that come about?
Let me give you a couple examples. We've had individuals from some of the local nursing homes, and so the social workers or case managers recognize the need and then go talk with the individuals to see, what they might want. The issue that we have is that they claim they don't need anything. They're perfectly happy with what they have and they're very content. And so sometimes it takes a little bit of prodding or just listening, actively listening to somebody talk and hear them say, boy, I wish I had, or it would be so nice to see my grandkids again. And then that information is taken in, and that's how we then proceed.
There's a lot of work involved, though, isn't there? A lot of legwork, a lot of arranging things.
Yes.
Especially if it's to see grandchildren or something.
Yes, and we've really done very simple wishes in Erie County. If you go to the national website and you look at some of the things they've done, they've sent people to Normandy. Some veterans have gone back to Normandy. There was a woman who traveled cross-country in an 18-wheeler. That was her wish, and it actually ended up being a great fundraiser for National. There are people who have traveled cross-country to see relatives. We've not had anything that big, but that's okay, because sometimes the simple ones are the ones that really affect you the most.
Right. So, no, you're talking about some different wishes now. You've been on board since '09. What are some of the favorite wishes?
Ooh, there are a couple.
I would have to say there would be.
Yeah. Well, first of all, to date, we've granted 15. And really the past 2 years have been our big years where we've had the funding and we've been able to
Because
find
funding
one.
is very important in all of this to help
Absolutely.
get things rolling, right?
So my two favorite wishes, Evelyn, who was a Navy nurse and had spent her whole life giving back to people, was at home, really couldn't get out of her house anymore, had a golden retriever but had to give it away because she couldn't take care of it anymore. So when her friend approached her and said, Evelyn, what do you think you would like? Her response was 2 jars of spaghetti sauce and time with a therapy dog. And
that was it?
That was it.
That was the wish.
And we're like, really? So the spaghetti sauce was easy. We then partnered with Therapy Dog United here in town.
Oh, wonderful organization, wonderful.
And went to Evelyn's home, and there was newspaper and media and all of us from Twilight and friends, and Evelyn just opened her door and graciously allowed us to come in and spent 2 hours loving and hugging and kissing and squeezing that dog. And we just sat there and watched.
Oh my gosh.
She was so appreciative. And then
and then now you have a picture here.
this is
And I don't know if they're going to be able to see this, but this is on Julie's desk every day, and that'd be so heartwarming.
it is, and to just see it every day to remind me why I do what I do.
Exactly.
And Evelyn unfortunately has passed away, and Brad Gleason, who is the other co-director for Twilight, and I went to the funeral and met her son, and he just grabbed us and hugged us and said, she ended up having to go to a nursing home for a little bit, and on one wall were all these pictures of her grandson, who she just adored. On the other wall, Daisy the dog.
Really?
Yeah. And so, you hear that and you go, okay, we're doing good. We're doing some good things.
You really are.
Yeah. The other wish that was actually really fun was an individual named Ted who was a writer.
All right.
And his family didn't know that he liked to write. And so he had written some stories and poems and wanted to get them published. And so we pulled all that information together, and Jane Gibson, who's on our board, her husband is an artist. And so they met with Ted, drew some pictures for him. As he talked through what this poem or story meant, they were able to draw some pictures to put in the book. We then had it published. We had a book signing ceremony.
Really, for him? Oh my gosh.
Family came, people that he was friends with, and so he signed each book and gave them away.
Oh, how exciting. So he got published.
He got published, and the title of the book is My Nancy, My Life, and it was written for his wife, and the last story in the book or poem is a poem to her. And that's another one that sits very close to my desk.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, these are, some very, very attainable wishes.
Correct.
Are there any limitations to the types of wishes to be fulfilled?
Medically, we really can't do a lot of medical things for individuals. We can do things like dentures. We've not had any wishes requesting dentures, but if it's anything that is really a hardcore medical type procedure, no, we can't do that. We can't do major home repairs.
Okay.
So
all
those are
right.
probably the two things that come to mind for me, but that we really wouldn't be able to fulfill.
That people may ask for
Right.
and you're not able,
Right.
are not able to do.
Right. And in those cases, we would work really hard to help them find some other way to get that wish fulfilled or get the money that they would need to grant that.
And that brings me to my next question. Do you work with different organizations throughout the area to help get these wishes granted?
We do. We understand that funding is limited. And
Yes.
we all want the same pot of money.
Right.
So we have, and that's really our goal, is to work with others. We work with Soldiers and Sailors, Brevalier Village, Therapy Dogs United are the three that we've worked with lately. We have purchased items from John V. Schultz. I'm trying to think, there was one other place that we've purchased things from, but we really do try to go to places that we know of, or connections, or organizations. Oh, Hands was the other one that we worked with. And it just is, it's good for everybody involved, because then they get to know about us, we get to know a little bit more about them, and we're really not, again, all pulling at that same pot of money that's so limited.
That's right. Do you work closely with some of the nursing homes too?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. And that's really, I think, an area that we need to work a little bit more with. They know about us, but I think sometimes it's difficult when you're dealing with day-to-day things that's not always in the front of your mind.
Well, I'm glad you're on this program, because honestly, you've been around for a while, and I hadn't heard about this. I think it's a great idea. We were talking earlier, I know different stores or different places have grant a wish for a senior at Christmas, like a tree, instead of for a child, a gift for a child, it's a gift for a senior.
Right.
So, and you said that you kind of worked with that at some point?
On my own, delivered the
Mm-hmm.
Christmas presents for individuals, and it was wonderful. And I think it is such a great time of year. But then I always wonder what happens the rest of the year. What 364 other days of the year?
Exactly.
You know, who's helping them? Who's with them? Who's listening?
Because you happen to be there and you're listening and talking to them. Same with these wishes.
Right. Right.
And you are talking with them, but then there's 364 other days. And as we both know, many of our seniors do not have family in the area.
Right.
And they don't have, most of their friends, you know, have passed on. So or they're elderly and they can't come and visit and keep an eye on them.
Right. In my background, I'm a physical therapist, and for the past 18 years, before I started working at Gannon, I worked in home care, and I still do some work in home care, and so I really got to know people on a one-on-one basis. And to me, that was the other thing that I looked at it and said, how can I give back? What can I do?
Okay.
And this just really...
And it was perfect for you.
It was one of those things on the same day that Brad and I were searching for something to do, because I kept saying, you've been on boards and you've contributed. I've done nothing. I need to do something. And we both got online, and literally within 5 minutes, we had both found the same place, and we're like, we need to do this.
Now you do, if I do want to recommend someone for a wish, this is how it happens, right? I think of somebody, you know, I see a senior, I think, boy, you know, they would be a perfect recipient for a wish. That's how it kind of works. And I would send a recommendation to you, or like you said, maybe someone from a nursing facility.
Right. And there's a couple of different ways. They can certainly call us with the phone number that's going to be listed for them, or they can go right to the national website, and on that website are all the forms that you would need. Anything that comes through Erie County that goes to the national, they forward back to us.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so that works out really nicely. So if somebody just says, I'm going to do everything online, they'll call us and say, we've got a wish for you. Can you manage it?
Oh, all right.
So that's nice, because it gives us a couple different options to get those wishes.
Okay, now we're talking about funding and money. How do you get your funding?
Sometimes luck and a prayer.
Please. Yes.
We've had a couple different things happen. AseraCare, through their foundation, gave us money.
All right,
We've had
good.
the geriatric social workers grant us some money. We've had people who have seen articles in the newspaper about us send us money. We have talked to all the local VFWs and places like that who give away part of their gaming money. We've gotten some funding from those people as well.
Okay.
And sometimes it's just, here you go, here's some money because we think we like you. The other thing that can happen, and we actually have one of these in process, if there's a wish that's a little bit more expensive than what's in our funding at the time, National will post it on their website. And one of the wishes we have out there right now is for a bed, a nice bed for a gentleman. And somebody donated $1,000 towards that wish already, unknown. Anonymous donor nationally.
Really?
So that's another way that when we're struggling a little bit, we have some options to get some money. We've held some fundraisers, but I know everybody gets fundraised to death sometimes, so it's nice to be able to do something a little bit different. We have students involved through Gannon University's PT program as well as Mercyhurst Intel program, and they've done some things for us to help us raise some money.
Okay. Do you have any annual fundraisers that you do, like something every year?
Not yet. That's
Not yet?
something that's in the planning.
Okay.
All of our board members are really trying to pull together to figure out what can we do that's different. So if anybody has any ideas for us that's a little different, we would be open to pulling something together.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is nice if there's something annual, like every March. You know, we always do this every year, and people can, look forward to it.
Right.
And be able to participate. Where is, now, the national chapter is located where?
Doylestown.
In Doylestown. And
Closer to Philly.
That's around Philly, the Philadelphia area. Right. And, but it's all through, it's also through the United States.
Right. There's a chapter in California, one in Arizona, and Arizona really has done some great things. They are really doing some wonderful things for their wishes. There's a new chapter in Indiana, Michigan, New Hampshire. So they're starting to spread. And when we first started, I think there were 7 chapters. So really within the past couple of years, people are getting the word out.
You're growing.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yay.
Yeah.
Now, grants. What about grants? Do you guys ever look into grants?
We have, and we've done 2, and one we were successful with. The Erie Community Foundation granted us a wish for $5,000 to purchase 2 beach wheelchairs. One of the things that we started to think about was what is unique about Erie and what can we do?
Right.
Well, Presque Isle. Everybody likes Presque Isle and likes to go there. So there were some beach wheelchairs available, but we got 2 brand new ones that people can use for free. They were housed at the lifeguard station at Waterworks, and people can go down, not now, but during the summertime, and take them out and use them on the beach.
How do you get a wheelchair on
They
the
are
beach?
massive
Tell me about
wheels.
these.
They have
Okay.
massive wheels.
I'm just trying to figure this out.
And they travel through the sand without any difficulty.
Really?
And one of the things that I thought about, and part of the reason why this came about too, was I was at a wedding on the beach, and there were 2 individuals who could not make it to where the wedding was.
Because they were in wheelchairs?
Yeah, they couldn't walk that far.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Right, I'm thinking, oh, here we go. This is a perfect opportunity. The one grant that did not get funded, we tried through the Christopher Reeves Foundation, was to get 2 floating wheelchairs, so people could actually go into the water. But we did not receive it this year, but we're going to keep trying.
Keep trying, yes. Now, can anybody check these out?
Yes, yes.
Wow, that's a great idea, because first off, someone doesn't have to be wheelchair bound, like you said, and it just clicked right away when I think wheelchairs. I think someone in a wheelchair. So it's difficult walking in the sand.
Right.
And if you have an elderly person who uses a cane, it's going to be awfully hard for them to get onto the beach.
Absolutely, and I always thought it's great. A lot of people go down, they drive around the peninsula, but there's nothing better than a sunset on our beach, and why not have the ability to do that?
And they are. Our sunsets are the absolute best. Okay, now, Julie, you mentioned students working with you. What do the students do? What are some of the functions that they have in the program?
The students have helped us fundraise.
All right.
They have helped grant wishes. They've done legwork as far as getting the word out. They've put together a Facebook page for us.
So you're on Facebook. You gotta like them.
Yeah.
They're on Facebook.
Absolutely. Erie County chapter. So they've, in whatever way they can, and it's part of our curriculum where they have to be doing a community health initiative project. And so I've reeled a few in, and my goal as an assistant professor who teaches the geriatric component, as well as somebody who's involved in home care and in this particular thing, is to get our younger population interested and excited about the older adult. Ageism needs to go away. We cannot be discriminating against the elderly. We're going to be there. We're all going there. It's something that we can't change. And so why are we discriminating against something we're going to become?
Right.
I grew up with grandparents that we sat on their front porch, and all the cousins and everybody played together. My students don't have that. Everybody's spread throughout the country, and they just don't have the opportunities to do that. And to me, this is one way to get them involved, to say, here is a generation that has so much to give you, and you need to listen to them.
I think that's what's so important, because they do. I mean, if you listen to what they have been through, what they have seen in their lifetime, you know, so they really are passing on wisdom to this younger generation if they just take the time to listen.
Right.
You know, You know what? You're growing. We were talking. This Twilight Foundation is growing with leaps and bounds. Where do you see the organization going years down the road? Okay, because now I'm saying, okay, get the crystal ball out and tell me what's going to happen. What would you like
I think
to
what would be wonderful for us if we had a few major sponsors, so that when there were times when our funding was low, we had somebody we could go to. We would like to see the word out there everywhere in Erie County. We would like to see our wish list almost like a waiting list.
Okay.
Instead of saying, okay, we fulfilled a wish, now we have to wait a little bit longer. It'd be nice to have lots of names in there to grant wishes for.
And I think that will come with time too, because I know it seems like you've been around a while, but it's baby steps with the nonprofits. You know, getting your voice heard in the community, which is what I wanted to do, because I think this is a wonderful organization. I work with seniors, and I think what I'm most impressed about is the wishes. They aren't cruise around the world and trips, a month trip to Europe with all expenses paid. Just little things. That's all they want.
And really everything has been like that, from a dinner with a spouse to somebody wanted to just go and golf a couple holes. They couldn't golf all 18. And so it's very simple, and you just you take a step back and you start to think, wow, it makes you think about yourself and what you wish for and your goals and dreams, and you look at somebody and says they're perfectly content and happy with something that little.
Isn't that wonderful?
It really is.
Now, volunteers. Do you have any volunteers helping in your organization?
We do. We have not so much volunteers. We have a board who does help us with everything, but we do reach out to anybody and everybody. We are in Connect Erie, so that if anybody wants to volunteer with us, we've had people call and just say, is there any time that there's something you think I can do, call me.
Okay.
And we are willing to reach out if we know somebody in the community who, say, like Ben Gibson, who could draw, please help us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so people can actually help someone fulfill a wish.
Yes.
Instead of just taking tickets to something.
Right.
You can be a whole part of it.
Right.
Oh, Julie, this is a wonderful organization. We're kind of getting to the end of our time. Is there anything that we didn't touch base on that you wanted to get across to the audience?
I would say please reach out. Reach out to the elderly in your community. If you know somebody who is lonely and doesn't have family that might benefit from something, please contact us and let us know what we can do to help out. If we can't help you directly, we've got enough contacts within the community that we will work very hard to help out.
I wanted to ask too, do you have like a privacy policy? What if you grant a wish and somebody doesn't want it on Facebook or?
We do. There's a media form that they sign that they will say no pictures, no information, and so we can talk about the wish but not give information out. Most everybody has signed a form saying absolutely let people know that we're out there.
And I'm sure they do, but you might get someone who might be just a little bit gun shy about that. They just don't want to put their information out there. How can they get a hold of you? How can they send donations and contributions? How can we get a hold of you?
The best way is through erietwilightwish.org. Erie@twilightwish.org is our email address. Contact us that way for further information. Donations can be sent to 820 West 50th Street or to the national chapter, and as long as you indicate this is for Erie County, that money stays with us.
So all the money that our residents are giving to the Twilight Wish Foundation is going to stay right here in Erie County.
There is a very small percentage that goes to national too, for the auditing and things like that a national organization has to take care of, but it's so minimal.
Because your money's staying right
Exactly,
here.
staying here for our residents.
Julie, thank you so much for joining us on the program, letting our viewers know about Twilight Wish Foundation, that you guys are out there, and you are just doing a wonderful job. This is fantastic. It really is, because our seniors do deserve something like this.
Thank you so much for having us and helping us get the word out.
Oh, my pleasure. You got anything new in the works, give me a call. We'll have you on the show again.
Okay.
All right, viewers, if you have any questions, interested in getting more information, please check out their website, send them an email. They'll be glad to give you any information that you need. Viewers, thank you for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.